Hello everyone, welcome back to Scented Moments channel. I'm Jolima. I hope you're all doing well. And because today I'm feeling a bit nostalgic, I want to talk about the most hyped fragrances when I first discovered the fragrance community back in 2016. It was in the summer, in the late summer of 2016. And I can't believe already 4 years passed since I discovered this community. It's been quite a fantastic journey. And so without further ado, I have here 11 fragrances. The majority of them are designer, just have a couple of niche fragrances. But I will talk about briefly as an honorable mention to 3 other niche fragrances that were really hyped back in the day. So as an honorable mention, number 1, of course, Creed Aventus or Creed Aventus. It's actually the hype king to this day. Pineapple, birch, woody, ambergris. I mean, you all know by now the fragrance Creed Aventus. At least you already heard about that fragrance. Has tons, thousands of clones right now, but still to this day, Creed Aventus is very well known, very hyped, although it was much more hyped back then, back in the day when I first discovered this community in 2016. The other niche fragrance has an honorable mention that I want to talk about is from the House of Bone number 9 and is Bleecker Street. Bleecker Street, so hyped back in the day. It was always chosen as the best spring fragrance, or at least side to side with Green Irish Street, also from Creed. So Bleecker Street, I already tried that fragrance briefly a year ago or so, and quite honestly, it's overhyped, overpriced. It's a fruity, has a blueberry there, or blackberry, I don't recall, but it has this berry fruity feel with some green notes. It's fresh. I mean, it's okay, but not for that price tag, definitely not. And it's also quite often compared with fragrance from the house of Ralph Lauren, which is Purple Label. Never tried that one, so I don't really know how similar Bleecker Street is to Ralph Lauren's Purple Label, but nonetheless, Bleecker Street was really hyped. Still has some traction here and there, but not as much as it once did. And the next fragrance and last has an honorable mention that I want to talk about is 1821 Man-Made Sweet Tobacco Spirit. I think this is the name. Never tried this fragrance, but man, between 2016 and 2017, that fragrance was so hyped. But now it's not really talked about. I mean, I think that fragrance got discontinued, but then got back with a new formulation. I think that happened, and so maybe that's the reason why right now it's not that talked about. But man, in 2016 and 2017, it was everywhere, all in there. It was always present in the fall and winter lists. It's a sweet tobacco scent, as the name implies, but well, I never tried it, so I can't really talk about this fragrance. But yes, it was really hyped back then. Now, with that clear, with that aside, now I want to talk about the fragrances that I have here in my collection, and well, I will also talk about them briefly. And because we are talking about niche fragrances and I just have really 2 niche fragrances here, let's start with these 2 fragrances. First, I have a fragrance from the house of Parfum de Marly, and of course, Parfum de Marly has to be mentioned in this video. The fragrance that I have here is Herod, this one right here. Now, Herod is a fantastic tobacco scent. One of my favorite tobacco fragrances, actually. It's sweet, spicy tobacco, has cinnamon in here. Not very similar with Tobacco Vanille from Tom Ford, but it has its inspiration in that fragrance. Stunning scent, sweet, not overly sweet, spicy tobacco. I really do enjoy this one. It's a fall and winter. It was a fall and winter staple back in the day. It was always mentioned in the list, in the fall and winter lists. But to this day, I still really enjoy this one. It's gentlemanly. It's perfect for date night scenarios, night out occasions. Man, and masculine, quite masculine in my opinion also. Parfum de Marly Herod. The next fragrance that I want to talk about, it's from the house of Amouage, and you already know how much I love this house, and the fragrance is Reflection Man. This one right here, Reflection Man. It's one of my most worn fragrances, and definitely amongst the fragrances from the house of Amouage, it's one of my most worn fragrances, as you can see. This, often compared with Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, I really don't see the resemblance. I mean, maybe shares the same kind of sweetness, but this is so much better and doesn't have enough resemblance with Le Male, in my opinion, of course. So this has a lot of white florals. This has jasmine, has neroli, but mostly jasmine, has sandalwood, has a sweetness in here, like I told you. It's a very sophisticated, gentlemanly scent, very classy. I really love this one. Very versatile, probably one of the most versatile fragrances in the house of Amouage, and definitely the most likable from Amouage. It's Reflection Man, and it was so hyped back then. Nowadays, not as much. Nowadays, I think it's more in the background. Other fragrances are really being released from Amouage, and so I think this doesn't have the same attention that it once had. But nonetheless, stunning fragrance, Reflection Man from Amouage. Now let's talk about design of fragrances. First fragrance that it was so hyped back then, from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and this is no surprise to you, it is of course La Nuit de l'Homme. This one right here, and I actually purchased La Nuit de l'Homme in 2016, and so you can see how much I already wore this one. This is a 60 ml bottle size. La Nuit de l'Homme. It's quite nice scent. I mean, I don't love it as much as I once did, but nonetheless, still a solid scent. I still feel the date night situation in here, the date night feel. This is a mysterious, spicy, aromatic, slightly sweet scent. I think it's a stunning cardamom scent. But yes, back then it was so hyped, of course, by Jeremy Fragrance. He was the one who brought this fragrance to light here in the fragrance community. La Nuit de l'Homme right now doesn't have a lot of attention, but back then it was all over the place. Another fragrance that was really hyped back then, it's from the house of Jean Paul Gaultier, and it is the Mâle Ofresh Popeye edition. Now this one was so hyped back then, was all over the place in summer lists. And actually I still do enjoy this one. It's a fresh, it has a slightly bubblegummy effect. It's minty, and for me it has this casual beach day. But I think it's more about the memories that I have attached to this fragrance, because every time back in 2016, 2017, and also 2018, this was really heavy on my summer rotation. Not as much in this last couple of years, but still great memories attached with this fragrance. One of my guilty pleasures. I still love this one actually, and it was again all over the place back then. Jean Paul Gaultier Le Mâle Popeye edition. It's the Ofresh. Another fragrance that it was really hyped, it's from the house of Dolce & Gabbana, and it is the One Eau de Parfum. This one right here, so hyped, and I really still enjoy this one. It's sweet, it has amber, it has tobacco, it has some woodiness in here. I think it's cedar wood, if I'm not mistaken. In general, it's a stunning scent. I still do enjoy this one. I'm not using this one as much as I once did. As you can see, I already wore this one a lot. Still, I really do love this one, and that's why still it's in my collection. Dolce & Gabbana The One, also it was a date night staple. It was a night out staple. But a lot of people were complaining about performance. Actually, I don't have any complaints in terms of performance whatsoever. Performs really well on my skin, so that's why I really do enjoy this one. and you don't have a lot of designer fragrances smelling like this. So I think this still has the unique part, even to this day. Nice, solid date night scent. Dolce & Gabbana, The One Eau de Parfum. Next fragrance that I have here, it's already a gem, but it's a basic scent. It's from House of Paco Rabanne, and it is Invictus Aqua, and this is the original formulation, the 2016 formulation. This was one of my most complimented fragrances back then, as you can see from the level of the liquid in here. And to this day, I mean, I'm not wearing this as much at all. I would even say, I don't remember the last time I actually wore this one. It's very juvenile, it's fresh. The main thing, the unique part of this fragrance, it's the yuzu that it's used in here. And actually it's quite prominent right in the opening. The yuzu with the salty aquatic nuances, I think works wonderfully in this scent. The new formulation, the new Invictus Aqua formulation, doesn't have yuzu, and even the saltiness, it's quite watered down. This one, it's much better, in my opinion, of course. And I mean, yes, this is a basic bro-ish fragrance, but a juvenile fragrance. But it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I still have this one. I still, sometimes I still try this one and still go back to sniff this one just to remind me of some fantastic moments with this one. I still enjoy Invictus Aqua 2016. Very hyped back then, so hyped back then. It was on the most complimented lists all over the place. But now, of course, not as much because the new formulation, it's actually still different from the original one. Invictus Aqua 2016. The other fragrance that it was really hyped from the house of Mulger, and it is Amen Ultra Zest. This one right here. And this one, I think it was released in 2016. Ultra Zest, now it's discontinued, unfortunately. I think this is a solid scent. It has this orange creamsicle feel, slightly chocolatey also, because of the Amen DNA with that chocolatey patchouli thing. I think it's quite solid. I mean, it smells synthetic, let's say. What I want to say by this is don't expect the most natural fragrance here. No, not at all. Not the most realistic fragrance, no. But it's orangey, it's sweet. It has a fresh feeling here with that chocolatey patchouli. I think this is a quite solid summer scent, but again, I'm not wearing this one as much because it got discontinued. But performance, it's actually really good. Sad that it was discontinued. Nonetheless, it was very hyped back then. I think it was also Jeremy who started the hype train of Ultra Zest from Mulger. But nonetheless, I think this is a solid scent. I actually really do enjoy this line. One of my favorite designer lines actually, and this is solid. Much better than Cryptomint in my opinion, and also much better than the new version, the new release which was released last year, Amen Ultimate or Ultime, I don't remember, I think it's Ultimate, Amen Ultimate. I think that's the latest release. This one, it's much better than that one in my opinion. Ultra Zest from Mulger. Stunning scent, I still enjoy this one, and back in the day it was really hyped. Now I have two fragrances from the house of Chanel, and boy, these two were hype beasts also. First one being Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, right here, doesn't need any introduction, and the other one is Allure Homme Sport Eau Extrême. Also doesn't need any introduction. I mean, these two were always present in the most complimented lists, in the best summer, spring fragrances. This one was also featured in the fall and winter time sometimes, but these two, if you would watch a list, these two definitely would be featured in those lists. Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, this is actually my favorite version of the Bleu de Chanel line. This has grapefruit, has incense, it has sandalwood, it's fresh. This Bleu de Chanel is the, well, the original blue fragrance, let's say. And this is definitely the best of that genre. It has the quality of Chanel, definitely. It's smooth, it's rounded, it's very versatile, masculine, has a sweetness because of the grapefruit. It has a touch of incense, quite heavy in the woodiness, and it has some, of course, has some ambroxan in here also. Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, great performance also on my skin. I think, again, it's the best in its genre. And, of course, Allure Sport Eau Extrême. It's heavy in the tonka bean. This one, it's a nice sporty-ish scent. Not very sporty because of the sweet tonka bean in here, but still has a fresh, sporty feel. But definitely perfect for night out occasions, date night situations. This is very likable. Definitely can get you some compliments if you care about them. Allure Sport Eau Extrême, not as talked about as it was back in the day, but still solid scent. Not the best from Chanel, a bit far from it. As a tonka bean fragrance, it's solid, it's nice if you want to dive into tonka bean scents. I think this is a nice starting scent, but not the best from Chanel, not at all, but still solid one. Allure Sport Eau Extrême. And last, but certainly not least, I have two fragrances from Tom Ford from the Private Blend collection, and these are Oud Wood and Tobacco Vanille. Now, I have a very attached history with Tobacco Vanille. It's because of this one that I discovered niche fragrances in the first place. Man, still, I absolutely love this. My favorite tobacco to this day. One of the best vanilla scents, also very spicy, not overly sweet vanilla, although this is a sweet scent. This is amazing. Straightforward, spicy Tobacco Vanille. Straightforward. I love this one. Tobacco Vanille from Tom Ford, very hyped back then, but I think still Oud Wood had slightly more hype surrounding this one. Oud Wood, it's the staple of the beginner's oud scent. Always featured in the fall lists, always featured in the most classy, sophisticated scents, always featured in the oud beginner lists. Man, Oud Wood. It was actually, I think this one was, yes, Oud Wood was actually my first full bottle from the Private Blend. Oud Wood. It's still a great fragrance. I mean, for an oud, if you love oud, you will not find real oud in here. It's more that impression of oud. Nonetheless, solid scent. Yes, it's sophisticated, it's classy, it's slightly mature, but I think it works wonderfully in office scenarios, upscale events. And this one, Tobacco Vanille, it's perfect for date night scenarios, night out occasions. Also for upscale events, it's quite nice. Man, it's one of my all-time favorites. It's Tobacco Vanille. I love this so much. Man, so good. Tobacco Vanille and Oud Wood from Tom Ford. Incredibly hyped back in the day. Not as much today, but still solid. Great fragrances, actually, in my opinion. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me in the comments down below what were the most hyped fragrances when you discovered the fragrance community. Tell me everything in the comments down below, guys. Let's revive things a bit. Let's be a bit nostalgic. Tell me everything in the comments down below. Again, you know, comment, subscribe, follow, whatever, if you enjoy this type of content. And I see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Ciao.